Brianna Aldridge, joined by Isaiah Stanback for some breaking news on this offseason. Dallas Cowboys, keep it interesting, Isaiah. Mike McCarthy looks to not be the head coach for the 2025 season. They are letting that contract expire to the end. A couple hours. They waited to literally a couple hours until their hands are tied.
Yeah, obviously they cut him off on the 13th. His contract was to expire on the 14th. Obviously this is something that they've been working on for a while now. They obviously shot down the Chicago Bears' attempt to try to interview Coach McCarthy while giving themselves some time to try to figure this out. It seems like both sides wanted to make it happen, but ultimately it seemed like it came down to just the duration of time that the contract was actually going to be. So that's where the line in the sand was drawn, and now they're going their opposite directions.
I think that's the part that needs clarity, is that Jerry Jones wanted Mike McCarthy, still right now wants Mike McCarthy to be the coach, but they could not, like you said, agree to the contract. And we kind of talked about this on the show. Comes down to control, the time, and the money. And it seemed like the time span is 1 year is disrespectful for Mike McCarthy's resume. 5 years, you haven't been able to deliver, and it seemed like they would have to meet somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, business is business, and that's what people have to understand. You have to detach the emotional side of the game, your attachments to the organization, your attachment to coaches, and it comes down to business. You're dealing with people's lives. I'm pretty sure that Coach McCarthy wanted some job security in regards to the duration of time he was going to be under his new contract, but at the same time, from the business perspective, the organization of Dallas Cowboys wanted to ensure that they weren't locked into something that they weren't necessarily all the way married to. So they gave him 5 years to show what he's capable of. He went to the playoffs 3 years out of the 5, but obviously the Joneses want more of that.
You've been at the Star forever. Do you feel like Jerry Jones at the end of the season, because when he spoke to us, he said at that point after the final regular season game, he really didn't know which way he wanted to go. Do you feel, as long as you've been around Jerry Jones, do you feel like that was true, or was he kind of quietly confident that he could get this job done?
I think he was quietly confident that he can get it figured out. I think he wholeheartedly believes in Coach McCarthy. I think he still stands behind his justification for bringing him into the organization. I think Coach McCarthy's done a heck of a job with the organization. Obviously, it's not to the standards that the Cowboys have set, or any organization. Everybody wants to get to the playoffs, and everybody wants to win a ring. The reality is it's not the easiest thing to do in this league, but 3 out of the 5 years was pretty doggone good. He came into a COVID year, obviously got things established, and then went 3 straight 12-season win seasons. And then this year, obviously, he had a bunch of injuries to a lot of his key contributors. So very tough to figure that out in a season like this. Coach McCarthy is capable of doing the job. He's a Super Bowl winning coach. They just couldn't figure it out, and now all of a sudden they're back on the search, and they have to really start the cards all over again, and that's what's difficult, not only for the organization but obviously for fans.
Something that I can't wait to ask Jerry Jones myself when he finally gives that statement to us about, what's kind of happening. But it seems like even if you're confident that you're going to get Mike McCarthy, you have to have some plan B, right? Yeah. I say that and we're chuckling because maybe not, because now it seems like, they're behind in the job search compared to everybody else. But do you think, again, that Jerry Jones, even though there's a lot of speculation on who it could be, that there is or there was some type of plan B working in the back?
I am pretty sure that the front office has a plan B, C, and D lined up. But, you've heard Mr. Jones stated many times, he is fully confident in the Star, in the power of the Star. Everybody understands that has negotiating power. He said that there will be a line of 500 coaches out there at the Senior Bowl that all would love to take this job, and that's true. That's the reality. The weight of the Star has a lot of merit. So he understands that though he's behind in the interviewing process, there's only been one coach that's had their job solidified so far, and that's obviously Coach Vrabel out there in New England. Other than that, everybody's still on the table, so they can still get this process started. They can still go with whoever they felt like they were in negotiations with. But I would imagine he has at least 3 coaches lined up that are probably waiting on this news to break today.
How does this picture look for CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, people? Micah Parsons has been advocating for his coach to return. What does that do for those core of the leaders of this team coming back? Micah looking for a new deal, CeeDee signing that deal, Dak signing that deal, and now you don't know who the head coach is.
Yeah, I mean, there's a weird dichotomy between the organization and whoever they're going to bring in. And I think that at some point in time, there has to be a meeting of the minds with the new leadership. Everybody understands that you're coming to the situation with the Dallas Cowboys. You know who's running the show. It's the Jones family. So you come into the situation with that understanding. But from the leadership perspective of the players, they're left in limbo. And they have to wait now, just like the rest of us have to wait, to find out who their new leader is going to be. And that will potentially affect whoever is going to be a part of the roster, what their contracts look like going forward, because that new coach has to be on board with those people in the organization, on the team, and the roles that they see them fulfilling. So obviously your key contributors like Micah, CD, and Dak, nothing's really going to change much with those guys. But when you start talking about some of the guys that are supposed to be leaving, like DeMarcus Lawrence, Osa Odigizua, how do they see those guys fitting in their new system? And what type of contributors are they going to be based upon the system that they're going to facilitate?
I just want to get your clarity on the situation. Like you mentioned, the contract says that, Mike McCarthy can officially start talking to other teams. Not permission, even though he was denied already for Chicago. So that could be a phone call he's putting in place. But the thing that, that I'm hearing is that even though this is done in everyone's eyes, it really could not be done if you look at it long term, because McCarthy could go out there, he could get nothing. And then Jerry Jones still has this offer that McCarthy didn't like the first time around.
That's on the table. Obviously, I don't think that's highly probable. I think that I don't believe that the time was the deciding factor, because you think about it, the Joneses had until tomorrow to figure it out, right? So obviously they came to that consensus today that they're going to go opposite directions. Coach McCarthy will get phone calls. The Bears seemingly are interviewing everybody but you and me for that coaching job. So I'm not sure how much their emphasis they're putting on Coach McCarthy, but he's a very viable coach, and you cannot look past the fact that he had 3 12-win seasons in his time here at Dallas. That's something that just can't get swept under the rug. There are a lot of good teams out there that did not make the playoffs and didn't have the records that Dallas had over those years. So he does get that weight. He does get the weight of being a Super Bowl winning coach, and I think that he's proven himself with that as of recently.
So I got to end this because everyone's putting, okay, who's next? Who's coming? This is just your opinion.
Correct.
Who is the candidate that you feel like automatically gets to the top of the list now that they need to talk to?
Yeah, you're going to hear the big names like the Ben Johnsons of the world, obviously from Detroit. The Aaron Glenn has ties here to Dallas. Obviously, he was actually my former teammate when I first came into Dallas in 2007. So you'll hear those names. I think AG is somebody that they'll definitely entertain. I think Ben Johnson is going to be out of the price range that the Joneses were willing to pay. He's going to require the top of the line. The one name that I kind of keep coming back around to is going to be John Gruden. And I think John Gruden, when you think about what the head coach coming into Dallas, wearing the star on his chest, what that would have to require and what that would embody, you talk about a coach who can command the team, number one, somebody who's one heck of a personality, can talk to the media at any given time, somebody who is going to stand on business, and somebody who is known for building up his quarterbacks and his offenses. I think that John Gruden's one heck of a name. He's been out of football for a couple of years, obviously for some of the issues that he had with his previous job and with the Raiders. But that's one name that I know that I would be on board with, not only from my personal interactions with him, but also from the standpoint of I think he checks all the boxes for the Cowboys. And there's going to be a lot of pressure on whoever they decide to hire. That personality has to be able to handle that.
Well, this offseason just got a little bit more interesting. Only time will tell on who the next head coach for the Dallas Cowboys will be. That's it for now. For Brianna Aldridge or Isaiah Stanback.